like a struggling lower league football team, we've decided to go out into the free transfer market and get someone better on the panel. So can I kick off this latest episode with a huge warm welcome to Adam Porter, former Truro City midfielder and now Leek Town, is it? Leek Town, Adam?
Yeah.
He's joining us, and over the next 20 minutes we'll get into kind of what Adam's been up to and discuss kind of his experiences in football. So Adam, thank you very much. Harry, Aaron, thanks for joining us as well.
Nice to meet you, mate.
So,
all good.
Nice to meet you, Adam. So let's take it away. Let's kick it off. Adam, what have you been up to since you left Truro? Because it was 2 seasons ago since you left that, was it?
Yeah. So it was last season and then the start of this season away. So sort of made the decision to move back up closer to home. Being from the Midlands, moved back up, signed for Leek Town at the start of last year. After sort of the pre-season, after leaving Troy, I had a few trials at a couple of Football League clubs, National League clubs, but ended up settling at Leek, where played, apart from a little injury spell, pretty much every game last year, and again started this season pretty strong. So that's step 3 in non-league, so the same level as when I first joined Truro, on loan from Salford, and it's been good. Stepping into sort of a full-time job as well alongside the football, so it's been a different experience for me over the past 12 months, but really enjoying both sides of it, really.
Cool. Now, I'm an avid Football Manager fan, and it only takes half a decent save for me to be obsessed with like teams. You know, I've got probably about 20 odd teams that I support, loosely. But as a player, do you kind of keep in contact with like previous clubs, or is it a case of like you move on, it's a transient relationship, and
I think
what you're doing?
I suppose everybody's got different experiences at different clubs, and I think a lot of it will be dependent on how it went for you, and what sort of connection you sort of built with a club. But definitely for me, since leaving Truro, I always keep up to date with the results. Obviously, there's still a number of players in the group currently that were there when I was there. So, I obviously built a nice relationship with the club and with the fan base while I was there. So, still definitely a connection there to the football club, and keeping out for the results.
Okay, and while you might have not played under John Askey, if you were going to sort of like imagine what the dressing room's like after the first 8-9 games, would there be like a bit of a tension in the dressing room? Is it a case of like you've lost up at Carlisle? Is the expectation on the bus to be like all sort of like miserable, or are the best dressing rooms the sort of dressing rooms that you'd go into and you wouldn't know if you'd won or lost?
I think there's obviously a balance to be had. I think obviously, and knowing the lads that are still at the football club, they care. So there's obviously going to be that emotion that comes with the results, especially when it's not going particularly well. But I think with obviously John Askey being an experienced manager and having some experienced players in the group, I think it's sort of cliche, but it's sort of not getting too high with the highs and not getting too low with the lows, and sort of taking it for what it is. So obviously it's a long trip back from Carlisle, so I definitely think while there'll be an underlying sort of disappointment at the result, I think if you were to step onto that bus on the way back, you'd probably see the best environments and the best dressing rooms would be one where it would still be all right. It wouldn't be all doom and gloom and nobody speaking to each other. I think the best groups in those situations sort of get around each other and sort of try and keep the spirits as high as you can, while obviously understanding the disappointment of the result. But it's a long way to get back without speaking to anyone. So I'd imagine it wouldn't be too bad, but obviously I have to address the results as they come.
And do you think that ability to stay centred, you talk about like not getting too high and not getting too low, do you think that's much more difficult for the modern day footballer? Because, that you've got social media, you've got idiots like ourselves, with these like fan podcasts and whatever else, you win and everyone's, it's brilliant, you lose and it's like
Yeah.
sack the board and all that sort of thing. Do you think the modern footballer has a lot more to deal with on that front?
I think that there's obviously more noise around, but I think with that probably comes a bigger importance on the strength of the group and the strength of sort of a unity within. I think at the best football clubs, the group almost feels like it's a different sort of feeling where it's not, for want of a better phrase, it's almost like that group against the world. And fans, obviously, opinions change from week to week. Like, we understand that, and people care about the results and want to see the football club doing well. But I think the main thing within the group is that everything stays as it is. There'll be sort of targets set within the group. There'll be standards that are set within the group that no matter how the results are going should probably stay the same. So as long as you sort of got that understanding and the players are bought into the process and what's going on from a day to day, I think the noise externally sort of gets drowned out a little bit. It's more making sure that within football clubs that everybody's still stepping in the right direction and pulling together.
Okay. Thinking about the specific Truro group, you talk about like the big personalities and the senior players like getting in around the guys. Would you say that's the guys that you would expect, like the Conor Riley Lows, the Tyler Harveys that have been there for a while? Or are there what you would say might a few players that might surprise us from a kind of personality leadership point of view?
I think obviously leadership sort of comes in different ways, and I think within that group, sort of your more vocal ones will be the ones that you'd expect, and the ones that have been there a long time. I mean, even when I was there a couple of years ago, Tyler, Connor were the type of people that were vocal about things that were going well and things that weren't going well, and obviously they care about the football club. So if things need addressing, then there'll be guys in the change room that will be willing to address it. But then likewise, you've got people within there like your Lawsies of the group that maybe aren't as vocal, but are sort of setting examples by performances. And almost there's two different sides of that leadership, and people that can change a game for you, and nick you a goal, create something out of nothing, keep their best player quiet, is almost a leadership in its own right. So I think the vocal ones will be the ones that you'd expect, and the characters that you can see as a fan, like the characters for a reason. They don't mute when they go into the changing room. Like, it is what it is. But I think as well, there's probably some more quiet in terms of vocalness, but in terms of actually sort of how much they're respected within the group and the importance of their different personalities within the group, there's probably some really important guys that are a little bit quieter.
Okay. And I think we all knew it was going to be a big step up. Everyone just, big step up, full time for the first ever time. As a player, can you sort of give us a little bit of insight in terms of some of the things that may have happened to move the club forward, kind of off and on the pitch? So what processes take place? What sort of little bits in, day out kind of happen?
I think obviously with going full time and having more lads in a full time environment, that day to day thing sort of processes, day to day life changes for them. So obviously with that more time, you obviously, in terms of contact time with staff, so like management being able to get messages across. I know obviously when I was there, we were part time, National League South. You sort of condense to a couple of hours twice a week for the manager to try and get his message across, which at times can be difficult, which is where you can see some teams almost become a little bit one-dimensional because it's taken the manager a decent amount of time to get a team playing a certain way, and to change that can take time. Whereas I think stepping into full-time, obviously you've got more contact time with the players around each other more. So again, you might be able to build a bit more unity within the group. And you've obviously got time for things like analysis on games, analysis on the teams that you're playing against coming up, strength and conditioning work, and sort of being able to build stuff off the pitch as well. So just having that time and obviously stepping up the facilities and getting back down to Truro itself will play a big part in that, and having the facilities there to sort of almost become a professional football club where everything's sort of set up from a on the pitch and off the pitch standpoint. So the players have obviously got the best opportunity to be probably fitter, stronger. I think when we were National League South and we were playing against teams that were full time, you could always tell there is that extra half yard of sharpness because that's what they're doing every day. It's just natural that the lads who have been at work all week and then play on a Saturday lose half a yard to the lads that have been training all week. Like it's only natural. So I think for the lads that have sort of been on that journey to step into from part time to full time, probably found it difficult at first because it's more demanding physically, it's more demanding mentally from a football side of things. But then obviously there's a bigger focus on that, so they're probably feeling now they've got a pre-season under the belts. They're probably feeling fitter and stronger than ever, and I think you'll probably see that more towards the back end of the season where maybe your Tylers would need a breather every now and again. I might be wrong, but he might be able to get through the whole season and finish strong and stay fit for large parts of the season. And different players like that, where they're stepping into that full time, you've got the time to recover, look after yourself, do the right things because that's sort of your main focus. Yeah.
Okay. So I know that Harry has been desperately researching Leek Town, so I think he's probably one of Cornwall's leading Leek Town
I wouldn't go that far.
enthusiasts now. So I'm gonna pass over to Harry because I know that he's probably got a couple of questions that he would love to ask you, Adam.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Hi, Adam. Yeah, mate, I'm Harry. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Really enjoying what you're saying there. And I guess something that you just said there that stood out to me was the fact that the leaders in the Truro team are sort of these core players like Connor Riley Lowe, Will Dean, Tyler Harvey, that like Ryan Law, that have been there for a while. And I think that longevity has really helped us with the sort of the spine of the team and like growing that confidence from going from semi-pro to pro, having that sort of core group.
Yeah.
And obviously those guys have been at the club for a long time, but you yourself, you're from up country and you've had to move down to Truro. What was that like sort of transition like? And do you think that's a sort of a bit of a weakness for us trying to recruit players? Do you think that's going to hinder us?
I do. I think it will always be an obstacle to get over because like even teams up near my way, so you've got loads of non-league teams based in Manchester and they're absolutely flooded for players because the catchment area is just so dense with players that you can sort of take your pick. Yeah. Whereas obviously down there, and it works in a positive and a negative because I think you get the best of the bunch from down there. So the way that you can pick your Tylers and keep him on board for a long time, maybe if he was based up north somewhere, he would have been at 3 or 4 different clubs because somebody offer him an extra bit of cash and it's no different travel wise and it's nice and easy.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously down there, you do get the pick of the lads down there, but then sort of my year was probably the first year that we saw a bit of an influx of lads from elsewhere that came down. And it probably helped me, the fact that I wasn't the only one doing it at the time. Because I know that the year before that I came on loan, it was just me sort of from up north that had come down. I was doing a lot of travelling with still being at Salford and then coming down for the games at the weekend. But when we went into National League South, I moved down for the year, lived in Plymouth with Sam Sanders, James Millardo, and then Dom came in towards the back end of the year. So again, having us as a group down there that had moved down made it easier. I wasn't on my own. And obviously the local lads were there as well. Like we had a good core group that was quite social with each other. So again, it was quite good that we could obviously pick up on stuff. The lads would show us around. If we needed anything, they'd show us what we needed to know. So it wasn't a bad transition. And I came straight in towards the back end of pre-season and just hit the ground running, and I was playing, which made it easier for me. I think for Sam and James that were sort of in and out of the team at the start, and then Sam at the end of the season, it can get quite tough because you're a long way from home and you're out of the team, and it can be a tough place to be. But it's not a bad place in the world to move down to. So there was plenty of things for us to do, kept ourselves busy. Obviously, the main focus was the football, and it was an interesting season. So we were definitely busy and focused on that. And yeah, it was good. I enjoyed my year down there, and I think that the lads that you're down there with make it or break it for you. So
Yeah.
I felt quite good. It was all right.
You mentioned there that Dom Johnson Fisher moved
Yeah.
in to your living quarters
Yeah.
when he joined. I think it was like January, wasn't it? Like
Yeah.
2023. I was actually at his debut, the Braintree game, the 2-1 loss at
Yeah.
Parkway. I think you played in that as well. Yeah, he's obviously become one of our most exciting players, and
Yeah.
we absolutely love him. Like, what was he like when he first came into the squad? He seems like quite a shy, really like nice, innocent
Yeah.
lad, and obviously he's got this like real burst of quality that we see week in, week out, and we're just
Yeah.
like ready for him to explode at the minute. So, like, what was he like when you first met him?
I think when he first came, he was quiet, but again, it's to be expected. He moved into a settled squad that had been together for a while, for the core of it had anyway. He obviously moved into living with us three that lived together for 6 months before. So again, it was probably quite a shock to him at the start, but he soon settled. He's a great lad. And we started to sort of pull his personality out of him as he got more comfortable. And I think you could probably see that on the pitch as well. He didn't sort of get a load of opportunity the year that I was there. And I can imagine it was frustrating for him because obviously having been given more opportunities in game time since then, he's obviously shown what he can do. And I think the whole point of bringing him in was for him to have those moments of quality and little bits of magic that he's got. So the fact that he's been given that opportunity over sort of last year and then the start of this season, really good for me to see, because I did sort of see it when he first came out, tough it was for him to settle, especially when you move into a new club and you move into across the country to a new place and everything's new. You sort of, the football can sort of make you settle in quicker and make things feel better. And he didn't really have that at the start. So I think the first few months for him were tough, but obviously he stuck it out, kept working, and he's sort of getting his rewards now.
Yeah, that's awesome insight to hear, man. Okay, I don't want to take up all the time here, but I just want to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you were playing under Paul Watton. What was he like as a manager? Do you miss him?
Do I miss him? You know what? He's obviously a big personality and a very passionate manager.
Yeah.
And I think for all of that sort of general sort of stereotype of what he is, I think there's also a lot of football knowledge and information there with him. Obviously, it showed with the way that we played when we got promoted the first time, and then obviously staying in the National League South with everything that was going on around the club at the time when we did. So he was really good for me. Again, one of the main reasons that I came back to sign permanently was him. It was obviously a big decision for me to come down, and he made it quite easy for me in terms of what he saw for me and how he got me playing week in, week out for the majority of the season that I was there. Obviously, he's got that emotional side of him that I think all the players, you know what you're going to get with him. And as much as he was, he can be very loud, and after games and at half times he can be very animated. You always sort of knew where you stood with him, and he was honest with how he felt about your performances and how you could improve. And I think once things settled after a match day as well, he was always very forthcoming with a conversation on what had happened, whether he was the first one to hold his hands up if he thought that he'd said something that he didn't feel the same after seeing the game back. And that's sort of all you can ask for in a manager, is that he's sort of honest with you. And we all understand that on a match day emotions can be high. So he obviously had that side, but it just sort of showed how much he cared as well. And I think you need that within the playing group as well. We had players that were similar, just emotional because you want the club to do well. So
definitely, mate. I'm sorry to cut you there. No, I think he's done a lot of good things for Churro, and he was a legend. And we were gutted when he left for Torquay, who have since he left in the National League South last year, we developed a bit of a rivalry with them. So and obviously pipped them by 2 goals on the final day last year. So there's that sort of fun rivalry we have with them now. But anyway, I feel like I've taken up the majority of
So Adam, you mentioned that you had a lot of work to do to tease the personality out of DJF. We've also had a similar challenge here with Aaron. Aaron's Tin of Talk royalty. He has his own channel, so anyone watching, subscribe to Aaron's channel. It's very entertaining. Aaron, mate, look, we've probably got 5 minutes before the software cuts us off. Take it away. Enjoy some time with Adam. Tease some good stuff out of him, mate.
Yeah, no, I was kind of thinking a minute ago, I've not said a single word yet. I'm just like, I've got like a premium seat to the podcast rather than participating in it. But yeah, so nice to meet you, Adam, and really fascinating to get this insight, from the other side of the fence, as it were. And the main thing that I'm kind of interested in, and you touched on it earlier, is that looking at obviously the current Truro season, 8 games played, 1 victory. I wanted to kind of ask about the kind of mentality of a team when you're in this position, when the results aren't going your way, especially at Truro, where you're traveling long distances away and back every week. Is there, and that you obviously know most of the players, like are there certain things that they'll be doing to try and keep the mentality high? Like, are there certain players there that are going to be leaders in that way, or are there going to be a few players possibly that are kind of, down in the dumps mentally and like need lifting up? And from your experience as well, what kind of things do you do, or what kind of things happen in order to actually keep that mentality high and to not get, depressed about the situation, basically?
I think it's obviously natural that people are going to get down about results and they're going to be worried about the way things are going, but I think the messages coming from the management team and from the leadership group that will be within the players will be to obviously keep your head up. You've had some not bad results within a lot of poor results, but I think as well you've got to understand as a group of players that have majority come up from the level below together and not played it necessarily at this level much, that there is going to be a time of getting to grips with the league. And I think there'll probably be some reflection on some games that we haven't picked up great results that probably weren't too far off in terms of the performances, and you can sort of pick out a lot of positives within a bad run. And there'll 100% be players within the group that, even while I was there, National League South, we went on a couple of runs where we hadn't won in 8, 9, 10 games, and it only really takes a little bit of luck in football to maybe pick up a result, and then confidence comes with that. So it's going to be, especially with the position of the football club coming up from the level below, sort of some of the budgets and statuses of the football clubs in the National League, it's going to be an up and down season. And I think all the players and management will probably expect that anyway. It'll just be a case of, at the minute, staying together and just trying to grind out results game by game. I don't think you can sort of look at the table at this point. It's probably too early, but just try and grind out as many results as you can. And then sort of once you get into sort of 10, 15 games, you can start trying to pick out games that you can maybe nick a point away from home, concentrate on winning your home games, and sort of start to put more of a longer term plan together. But at the minute, I think it's just a game by game, making sure everybody's confident, everybody's positive, and just cracking on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that so far the results haven't really reflected the actual performances.
Yeah.
I think the performances, bar one game in particular, have been, you know, we're competing. We're not getting dominated every
Yeah.
week. Like, you know, it's been encouraging, and there should be belief there.
Yeah.
I just like found it interesting to get an insight of somebody that's been in a team squad, like in that environment.
Yeah.
Because obviously in a team you have different personalities. You might have some people that are leaders, some people that, you know, need lifting up.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to learn a bit more about that kind of
Yeah. I think that's sort of
dynamic.
the whole role of your senior players is, and naturally there's going to be players to handle things differently. Like there is going to be players that after losing away at Carlisle will be really down about the result and their own performance and be overthinking things and reflecting. But then that's sort of the role of the management and the more senior players in the group to then pick them back up. And especially for the lads that have seen it before and done it before, you can all reflect on times that they've had when they were younger that they were probably the same, and then it's just how we pick it up and how they can pick the players up to then go again, because obviously the schedule at the minute, you're playing a game every 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much sort of you've almost got to forget about it and crack on, whether you've won, lost or drawn. You just got to go again in 3 days.
Yeah. So just quickly, something else that I wanted to ask that I don't think is really much of a topic. So, you know, Truro are in the National League Cup.
Yes.
Do you think that's an unnecessary distraction?
I think it's really good for the under 21s teams that are in it to show off players and for lads to nick a loan if they perform well. I think for the National League clubs, especially the ones that don't have massive squads, massive budgets, I think it's probably something that is a case of get it out of the way. The result of that cup is not going to really affect anything within the football club. The league status of staying up, going down, being in the playoffs or not, obviously means a lot. So I think it's probably just a case of getting minutes into lads who aren't playing, keeping people fresh, and just ticking a box for the National League clubs, to be honest.
Yeah, completely.
Well, it looks like the time added on board just come up, and there's not a lot left on the board, Adam. So I just want to say thank you from all of us here and all the listeners, because we've got 13 subscribers now, so we're very excited about that. It's more points than Torquay have put together, so it's something to be very proud of. Thank you so much for your time. Look, I think all of us would love to spend twice, 3 times the amount of time talking to you, because it's absolutely fascinating to get as one of the guys said, that view on the other side of the fence, so to speak. We wish you well with the rest of the season with league. Obviously, hope at some point there might be a reason for us to bump into each other at an away game, or come down for a pasty or something. But thank you so much for your time, and hopefully get you back on the show again when maybe we've got 100 subscribers.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, wicked.
Cheers, Adam.
That's been amazing. Thank you.
Great stuff.